Hey everyone, it's Dan Charles with Light Forex. It is January 3rd, 2020. I'm going to break down the major Forex pairs, starting with Australian USD. So let's take a look. So I'm always looking at a daily chart, a weekly chart, a monthly chart. I got a 240 minute and I got a 60 minute. And sometimes I'm looking at even lower charts like a 15 and even a 5, but being more of a longer term, a swing trader, I always start with the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. So last day, a couple days ago, I was pretty confident that most of the major Forex pairs were going to pull back in the coming days. And you can see that happened. Going forward, it looks like we have some support right around where price opened. Right around where price opened on December 26th, 69.29. You can see today the low was 69.30, pulled up on that price. So expect a potential rebound on Monday. Still looking at the weekly chart and even the monthly chart, it looks more clear that price still could come back a little bit more. So that is something to take note. So watch this support level holds. Yeah, just looking at the weekly, if we blow up the weekly chart here, you can just see very bearish end to last week. Short week though, but you can just see that the momentum is to the downside still. But we have to watch that support. The monthly chart, when we look at the monthly, you can see the month of December was great for the Australian USD, but then we become a bit overextended. Price is very rarely just going to open up where price closed at and continue this uptrend. It's going to pull back. We have to look at this mid price around 68.83. So let's draw a line at that price, 68.83, right there. All right, so that's going to be an important price. If this gets taken out, the 69.30 price, look for that next level of support to be around 68.83, roughly the center of this long rangey monthly candle. Let's take a look at the Australian futures. See if there's anything different. Yeah, so when I looked at this on the 31st, it was pretty obvious to me that this was a top. And I said 85% of the time when you see something like this, it's gonna be followed by downward movement. Just like if you were at a bottom of a market, just like right here, just the opposite, a green kind of bullish candle with a long lower wick. You got a red candle with an upper wick with a big gap up. More often than not, you're going to pull back. More often than not, when you have something like this, you're gonna rebound. So this was pretty predictable if you watch my last video. Yeah, just looking at the futures, there is a gap here. This could easily be filled. I talked about that support on the Australian USD. So watch those price levels that I mentioned. Let's take a look at the Euro USD next. Okay, Euro USD, same thing. I was pretty confident this was going to pull back, and you can see that did pull back. I talked about this 1241 resistance. And just like the Australian USD, looking at the weekly and even the monthly chart, it does look like there could be more downside, but you got this long lower wick here today. So we were very, very bearish in the early parts of the day, and then of course the end, things turned around. So the momentum is now potential for that bounce to the upside. Let's take a look at the Euro futures though. Let's see if it looks a little bit different. It definitely does look a little different. I drew in this level of support before, this 1.1 11795. You can see that price held. The low today was 1.11845. Let's see if this can bounce and rebound next day. You can look at the monthly charts, and you can see that very, very bearish over the months, and it looked like it's got the look of an instrument that's trying to find a bottom. It's a little bit up, it's down, it's up. You want to see this break above resistance around 1.12715. Okay, let's take a look at the pound USD. Okay, pound USD, when I looked at this on the 31st, it was definitely looking more bullish. Of course, it was bullish. It had quite a big drop and then a big rebound. And I talked about this resistance, though, around 32.98. Actually, sorry, 3,300. Price hit 32.84, pulled back slightly. So I talked about it needed to bust through that price. And I drew in the center line roughly of the 31st candle as a support line. And you can see that got busted right through. And going forward, this actually looks more like there's some downside. If you look at this weekly candle, it's very, very bearish. The momentum is clearly to the downside starting into next week. Now, often when you see a setup like this where the previous week you have this long lower wick hitting support followed by a long bearish hammer style candle that follows it, normally the momentum is going to go with the first candle. So normally you'd say that even though this is a very, very bearish candle, we're probably going to continue going up. But I'm a little bit mixed because the monthly chart is telling me there definitely could be more downside. And the daily chart is definitely saying that as well. We got this key support level at 29.88, but realistically, the more important support price is going to be at 1.3 thousand. Let's see if I can, there it is. Yeah, that's going to be an important support price. So I'm going to see how that plays out, but let's take a look at the British pound, because sometimes the futures will tell me a little bit different. And you can see last day, you could see this long upper wick on the 31st candle showing that resistance at 1.3300. Yeah, it really looked like this was going to have this pullback. Now that the pullback is done, we got to really see if it can hold this 30.84 price drawn in. I'm a little bit mixed, to be honest, with the pound USD. I can see signs that this is going to go lower based on the weekly and the daily chart, and even the monthly chart. It looks like there's still more downward pressure to go. But when you look at the 240, it looks like we could get an early bounce. And even where things ended on the 60, it looks like we got some strong support on the 60-minute at this low of 1.3079. That price was hit a couple times, pulls up, and it's trying to stabilize and figure out whether it's going to break out and we're going to go bullish, or it's going to bust through these support levels. There's some more support that was hit at 30.95 as well. So yeah, I'm a little bit mixed on this. Let's see how that plays out. All right, New Zealand USD was another one I was confident was going to pull back. You can see it pulled back. I drew in this 66.50 support line, and you can see it's holding that support right now. So this is lining up like it could definitely have a bounce, but at the same time, we're still overextended based on the weekly. There definitely can be more downward pressure. And where I drew this line was roughly the middle of the weekly previous candle at 66.52. You can see it pulled up slightly on that. The monthly chart, yeah, like I always say, you know, big range. You're going to open up the next month. You're very rarely just going to continue going up without a bit of a pullback, even though we're looking more bullish. So that's why I was really calling for some downward pressure the last days. It's very important to draw in through this center line. It's roughly 65.80. Let's see if that price can hold. And that's basically how I'd be playing the New Zealand USD. Let's take a look at the New Zealand futures. Yeah, New Zealand futures, we're definitely overextended. We have gap downs. Usually when you have that, you're going to have a rally, a rebound. But the downward pressure is really still there, just based on the weekly and even the monthly. To me, it looks like there's definitely more downside. 6,600 is going to be a key support level, and that's roughly the center line on the monthly candle. Always looking at that for the support. Okay, let's get to the Usdcad. Okay, Usdcad, so when I looked at this on the 31st, it was just going straight down. I commented on this big rangy candle, and I said we were going to get a rebound. You can see that rebound has happened. Looking at this, we're kind of in a flag, if you will. We have a high of 3008, 3007, so we put in a lower high from yesterday, but we're still in this. And to me, it looks like there's more upside. You can see here, just like I say, we're overextended on the upside on some of the pairs we looked at. We have to look at this large rangy month last month and draw in a center line, 31.26, and let's draw that in 31.26. Now, I'm not saying it's going to rebound all the way to that price, but we have to plan for a potential move all the way up to that price. I think there's more upside on the Usdcad, but let's take a look at the Canadian futures. Yeah, now the Canadian dollar has been very, very bullish. I talked about before about that key support on the Canadian dollar at 75 cents. Big gap up. I was pretty confident this was going to pull back, and hence you saw the rebound on the USDCAD. I'm surprised this didn't pull back more. You can see here, just like on the downside, we have we are putting in some higher lows from the last couple days. The low 76.905. We hit 76.935. But just looking at this monthly, to me, this looks like this could come down more before it continues the uptrend. So that's how I would play the Canadian dollar. I think there's more downside on the Canadian dollar, meaning there's going to be more upside on the USDCAD. USD yen. Okay, so we broke down through this key support I drew in around 108.46. I was expecting or looking for a potential bounce on the second. It did pull up, but then it hit resistance from the previous high. 108.89 was the high on the 31st. It hit 108.87. So then once it hit that lower high, pulled back, and then here we are dropping. Very important support at 108. 108 is going to be key. So expect a bounce on the USD yen. Let's take a look at the yen futures. Yeah, we got this big gap up on the yen futures. Anytime you have a gap, this gap could get filled. And we're overextended. It'd be pretty rare to just continue going up without any sort of pullback. Look for a pullback on this one. Just the same thing like I always say, you know, if you're looking at a candle like this is a weekly chart. You see where we closed, 0.009291. It's very rare that we're going to open up around that price or close to it and just continue going up. We're usually going to gap down or gap up, and on a rangy candle like this, we're going to potentially pull back. We're going to pull back most of the time. So it's something to remember when you're looking at a big range candle. So look for a pullback or a drop on the yen and a rebound on the USD yen. Okay, that's the breakdown for January 3rd, 2020, Friday. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button if you're liking my accuracy and I'm helping. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.